Hi, I'm Mia, and welcome to this edition of The Pipeline, where we are refining the news that is important to you. U.S. oil production jumped last week to the highest level since May 1989, cutting consumption of foreign fuel and putting the U.S. closer to energy independence. The Energy Information Administration said fracking pushed crude output up by 124,000 barrels to more than 7 million barrels a day. Rising crude supplies from fields, including North Dakota's Bakken Shale and Eagle Ford Shale in Texas, have helped the U.S. become the world's largest exporter of refined fuels. Texas pumped 2.57 million barrels a day in June, which was enough to rank it ahead of 7 members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. The state of Texas is now producing more oil than the country of Iran. Iran produced 2.5 million barrels a day in June, according to Bloomberg survey of oil companies. EIA data shows that the U.S. met 87% of its own energy needs in the first 5 months of 2013, on pace to be the highest annual rate since 1986. Domestic crude output will average 7.5 million barrels a day in 2013 and 8.4 million in 2014. Rising domestic supplies have curbed consumption of foreign fuel. Net imports of crude oil and petroleum products will fall to 5.4 million barrels a day by 2014, down from 12.5 million in 2005. The abundance of crude has made the U.S. an increasingly important refining hub. U.S. exports of distillate fuel oil, largely comprised of diesel, rose to an all-time high of 1.3 million barrels a day in June.
U.S. CO2 emissions resulting from energy use during the first quarter of 2012 were the lowest in 2 decades for any January through March period. Normally, CO2 emissions during the year are highest in the first quarter because of strong demand for heat produced by fossil fuels. However, CO2 emissions during January through March 2012 were low due to a combination of 3 factors: a mild winter that reduced household heating demand and therefore energy use, a decline in coal-fired electricity generation due largely to historical low natural gas prices, and thirdly, reduced gasoline demand. U.S. CO2 emissions from energy consumption totaled 1,340 million metric tons during the first quarter of 2012, down nearly 8% from about a year earlier. About 90% of the energy-related CO2 emissions from coal came from the electric power sector. Coal has the highest carbon intensity among major fossil fuels, resulting in coal-fired plants having the highest output rate of CO2 per kilowatt hour.
Oil production in North Dakota had a huge increase in July. This is according to the new data from the state's Industrial Commission's Oil and Gas Division. Overall, production jumped by 55,000 barrels per day to a total just below 875,000. To put those numbers into perspective, total U.S. oil production in July was just 7.5 million, meaning North Dakota now represents almost 12% of the total. The large monthly production jump is related to 2 factors. First, weather has been holding back the completion of wells all year. Now that the weather has cleared, these wells are now finally coming online. In addition to this, producers are getting better at finding the best formula to unlock more oil from the wells that are being drilled. July's jump shouldn't come as a surprise as the Bakken continues to deliver game-changing oil production. It's the leader of the oil boom that no one saw coming. It's also a boom that's showing no signs of slowing down. Record oil and natural gas production from places like the Bakken are revolutionizing the United States energy position and will probably continue to do so for many years to come. Now that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and remember, we're drilling only for the relevant news and bringing it to you through the pipeline.